Hi everyone. How many of you moms struggle with boundaries? I know that is the topic that we talk about a lot. We throw that in there because it's so darn important. But how many of you have trouble setting them and really are curious, what do I set the boundaries around? Well, I have 6 different types of boundaries that I want to talk about with you today. I'm just going to touch on some of them. We'll go into more depth later on some of the others. But for those of you that are new here to my channel, I just want to say welcome. My name is Sally Harris, and I am a mom who has walked a difficult road with my own daughter for over 10 years. And while her life spiraled out of control, so did mine. And I promise you, it does not have to be that way. So let's dive into this. So the first type of boundary that I think is important for you to set is emotional boundaries. Now, you and I both know that is probably one of the most important in regards to first things first. Because if you don't have a boundary around the emotional aspect of what you're going through with your adult child, that's when we feel so out of control, right? There's several boundaries, but the emotional aspect has to be taken care of first. And that includes making sure that you are getting the support that you need, whether it be a group coaching program, it be a therapist, whatever it is that you need. That is so important. It also, if possible, if your child is willing and able to do this, maybe that means putting some boundaries around the emotional aspect of you two going to therapy together, right? If they're willing to do that, I would encourage you to do so. Now, I know a lot of you have tried that. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. But for those of you that have not tried it before, I think it's important to at least address it and keep it on the table. Number 2 is physical boundaries. That is your physical distance, how much, space you have between each other. Like if you have an issue with your adult child, really, if there's a physical aspect, to me is, that there's just no excuse for any type of physical abuse. And that is a deal breaker in my opinion. But physical boundaries, just making sure that, okay, are they living with you? How much do you see them in regards to, are you watching your grandkids? Are you, doing all these things for them where you're having to go over there a lot and be in the same room together for long periods of time? And maybe you're a mom that says, hey, we get along really well if it's for short periods of time. That's where the physical aspect is going to come in. So I encourage you to do that. And it also will change. Remember, all of these boundaries can change. These are not fences, right? They are gates. They can open and close, and you can adjust them and whatever it is that you need in your life at the time. Number 3 is communication. Maybe you're a mom that you and your child have a toxic relationship when it comes to being in person, but you seem to be able to text and email okay. Well, that is obviously the mode of communication that I would stick with until you can resolve whatever it is. At the same time, there is communication boundaries. Most of you have told me a lot of it is on social media or even texting. That is the problem, primarily because people feel so free to say whatever they feel like saying because they're hiding behind a phone or a computer. So you and I both know that's the way of the world these days. People say a lot of things that they might not say to your face. So with that is where, you do have the opportunity to block another person if needed. Doesn't mean it's forever, but maybe for a period of time. If it becomes that toxic where you feel threatened or you feel it's just so draining for you that it's just taking the life out of you, I encourage you to take a look at your communication boundaries. The 4th one is financial boundaries. That is a big one, and I'm probably going to do a video of its own on that one because financial boundaries is something that so many moms try to do so late. If I can encourage you, if you're a mom who has a younger child or one that is, maybe just getting through college or whatnot, they have kind of learned our behavior with finances. They've learned what we have, what we don't have, what we're willing to spend, whether we have it or not. Those types of boundaries, we have to be established. So it's all out on the table and there's no guessing. That's the biggest thing, is kids have these expectations, but until they're told otherwise, this is why they have the expectations. Maybe we've always done it. So there needs to be a new set of rules for your situation, if that's something that you're struggling with. Number 5 is personal boundaries. Again, that kind of goes in with the space, with the emotional, but also you have to define your own personal boundaries. What's important to you? Your beliefs, your values. It's up to you who you're going to let in your sphere of influence. If someone is completely toxic to you in regards to your beliefs, we can agree to disagree. We can have different opinions and all of that, of course. But not everyone sees it that way. So keep that in mind too, because personal boundaries are very important. They kind of go along with the emotional boundaries, I feel. And then lastly is time. We touched on this briefly when we were talking about physical, how much time you spend with one another. It's going to be based a lot on their behavior. It's going to be based on what has been happening in their life and your life, and the latest communication that you have with each other. What does that look like? And so keeping the time boundaries, start small. If you guys have been through an ordeal, but you're starting to kind of make your way back, start small. Start small. Don't, maybe don't text every day. I know a lot of moms that I talk to reach out to these kids who are semi-estranged, and they're constantly texting them, and they're constantly spending time emailing, texting, leaving messages, and the child has said, stop. And I would encourage you to use your time wisely with that, and honestly honor what they're asking of you. If they need time, then give them time. Because so many moms fear, and I completely understand, you fear. It's natural to have that fear that it's going to be forever. But just because that's the way it is right now does not mean that's the way it's going to stay. So I just want to encourage you with that. So these 6 types of boundaries are so important in and of itself, right? Some are going to apply to you more than others, but I want you to just take that into consideration on what that looks like. And so if you're a mom that is, struggling with some of these, and you need a support system, you don't have anybody that can empathize with you, that can walk through these situations with you. If you're interested in learning more about what I do, I work with moms on a one-on-one basis, but also I have a group coaching program. I would be happy to talk to you about all of those and learn a little bit more about what's going on with you and your child. You can click the discovery call below if you are ready for help. If you are ready to really dive in and figure out, ready to look in the mirror and say, okay, what can I fix? I can't control my son or daughter, but I can control me, and I'm ready to do my part. So if that's the case, I look forward to hearing from you. I'll talk to you soon.